Deep Insight with us, we have another breaking news coming in from US. US officials have reportedly shared that US strikes have been launched at Iran by air and by sea. In the recent weeks, we have seen that US has been building up its military presence in the Middle East region, which included 2 aircraft carriers and 3 guided missile destroyers. We have another breaking news coming in from Israel. Yair Lapid, leader of the Israeli opposition, has reaffirmed the strength of the unity of the Israeli people and their military forces. In a public statement, Lapid has highlighted that both the Israeli Defense Forces and their IDF, the Air Force, remains strong with the nation's power supported by its global allies. Lapid has stressed that in times of crisis, there is no political divide, only collective support for the IDF. His comments aim to emphasize national solidarity amidst the ongoing challenges. We have breaking news coming in from Iran. Explosions were heard in northwestern Iranian city of Tabriz after the Israel Defense Forces announced a preventive strike against Iran in a major escalation of regional conflict. Now we have another breaking news coming in from Iran, coming in from Tehran. It says that long queues are being observed at gas stations in the capital city, with many people reportedly leaving the city in an attempt to move to safer places. Now we welcome Mr. Yossi Cooper-Wasser. He's an Israeli intelligence and security expert, joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much, Mr. Cooper-Wasser, for staying with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, looking at all the breakings that have just come in, how do you see this evolving, and also how do you think that this would be taken in U.S., where American President Trump, when he took office, he said that while he's in office, there won't be wars which would be started. What's your take about the cooperation between U.S. and Israel in this case?
Well, the cooperation and coordination between Israel and the United States is really impressive, and we are coordinating the attacks and sharing intelligence, and I think this is really impressive what we're doing together. We gained some experience during the June attack, but this was more two separate operations that coincided. This time it looks as if this is a joint operation, although there probably some sort of a division of labor between the Israelis and the Americans. But I think that basically it's a joint operation. And yes, President Trump was trying to avoid war, but he was aware of the fact that the Iranians are a force for destabilization, a force for radicalization. And in order to avoid wars, you need stability and commitment to prosperity and well-being, and not to sowing fear and destabilization and terrorism around the globe. And that's why he had to eventually, after he really exhausted any other option by running these negotiations with the Iranians, he had to finally decide that you need to use force in order to reach the goals you put forward. Now, what I think we can say about the really vague picture we get from Iran is that there are actually three efforts simultaneously being executed. One is to take care of the Iranian air defense. Secondly, and that's I understand that Maharabad air base was attacked, and this was heavily protected by the Iranians, and probably other places around Iran. Secondly, to minimize the capability of the Iranians to strike back. That's why some effort is being directed towards ballistic missiles assets of the Iranians. And third, to clarify to the Iranians that this time the regime itself is in danger. And if it's true that IRGC facilities were attacked as well, then this is conveying this message. Maybe also some leaders were on the target list. So it's, but we are really in the early stages of this operation, so it's very hard to try and really get a clear picture of what's happening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cooper Wasser, for sharing that insight. We're now also welcoming retired Major General Dr. S.B. Asana. He's an international strategic and military analyst, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Major General Doctor, for joining us again. Now, looking at all the developments that has been happening, how do you think Iran will be using its proxies in the region, if they would? And also, now that U.S. is their armada is ready in the region, but UAE, Qatar, also Saudi Arabia have declined to let them use their airspace. So, what would be their strategy, U.S. and Israel's strategy moving forward?
See, given the condition which is the news which has broken so far, so let me base my analysis on that. Israel has stuck. There is still a confirmation whether US has joined or not. As far as Iran is concerned, it's not a surprise. It was known. The talks did not go well in a manner that whatever are the aims of USA and Israel, they have not been achieved. As far as Iran is concerned, in the talks, they were ready to make concessions only on the nuclear enrichment. But I think President Trump wants more. He also wants to cap the missile program. He wants to cap the entire UN enrichment, even for peaceful purposes, and also support to proxies. So there is a dichotomy, and it was known that this dichotomy will lead to some kind of exchanges. Now, let's see the level of exchanges. Israel launching a preemptive was expected for the simple reason because USA has done fair amount of military posturing there. Now, Israel knows that USA is very well poised to respond should Iran respond in a significant manner. So Israel has a chance. And now that they have launched a standoff strike, my expectation is that Iran will also launch a standoff strike. Since the US has not directly launched a strike on Iran so far, my response would be that Iran will not touch a US base as of now. Their reaction and retaliation will be targeted to Israel unless something happens in between, that in between their retaliation, US strikes, then the scale and dimension and the space of retaliation may increase. As far as options are concerned, Iran has many options. As you mentioned, yes, proxies can be activated, number one. Number two is the standoff attack, because as far as Israel is concerned, it's only standoff attack. They don't have joint border, and there are a whole lot of countries in between. So there is no other response other than the standoff attack. So missile will be responded by missile attack only, and nothing more than that. And also, one thing is very clear: if Israel and US choose to keep the strikes only at standoff level, the regime is not changing. Even if, let's say, they manage to kill Khomeini, somebody else will take over. And worst case scenario is if a cleric instead of a cleric, if IRGC takes over, that's, I think, would be the worst case scenario for US and Israel, because that would be most radicalized in terms of responses. Now, coming on to what I expect now is an attack, a well thought of attack, because Iran would have catered for all contingencies. It is not a surprise. They were expecting it. So they would have worked out the contingencies as to what happens when they strike, and there will be a standoff attack on Israel if nothing else develops in the near future, or in time to come. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Major General Dr. Astana, for sharing that insight. We have another breaking news coming in from Iran. According to an Iranian official, says that Tehran is preparing for retaliation. The response will be crushing. He has also added that Tehran is preparing for a response like no other this time, as this comes as the Israeli Defense Forces have announced a preventive strike against Iran in a major escalation of regional conflict. Now we welcome back Mr. Sol Sadka for this. Mr. Sadka, as you know, Mr. Major General Astana already called it that this will be happening, missile for missile. We are seeing this. Hopefully you are staying safe there. What's your take?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Sadka.
Sorry, I missed your question. You'll have to forgive
Yes,
me.
I was just saying that building on Major General Astana's answer, he has already called it out. He was like saying that there would be missile for missile retaliation against these preventive strikes from Israel, and now we've heard this news coming in from Iran as well that they're preparing for a retaliatory strike. Hopefully you're staying safe over there, but what's your take?
Well, the Iranians, of course, are going to try and get off as much as they can. However, they are currently surrounded by the largest agglomeration of military force that has been assembled in the Middle East, perhaps ever, in terms of its power and capabilities. The weapons that the Americans have, and the Israelis together, and the Arab states as well, who may be involved, are so vast and have such power that it's unclear exactly how they will be able, how much of their stuff they'll be able to get off. And as we discussed before, for Iran, they might have 1,500 of these ballistic missiles. If they fire them off in short groups, say 20 at a time, the American and Israeli air defense are quite capable of dealing with all that at the same time. However, the only way they can really cause serious damage to Israel is if they manage to fire off hundreds at the same time. And of course, that does mean they really only get to shoot a few times. But at the same time, that does mean they will get more through their air defense, the Israeli air defense network, which will be much more dangerous for Israel. So that has to be their goal, to fire off as many as they can. And right now, over the next, say, 12 hours, that's how long it took them last time to get off their first round, the game will be to destroy as many of the launchers, which the Americans know pretty much where most of them are, to destroy as many of the missiles in the next 12 hours. That's what's going to be happening, to try and ensure that they are unable to get off their first shots in an effective way.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sadka, for sharing that timely insight. I'd like to also welcome back Mr. Cooper Wasser for this. Mr. Cooper Wasser, as I build on Mr. Sadka and Major General Astana's answer on military, not military, but missile for missile strikes, how's your take on the capacity of Iran right now? Mr. Cooper Wasser, are you still with us?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I agree with everything Mr. Sadka was saying. That the Iranians are in a difficult situation. If they launch many, they are not able to launch for a long time. If they launch a few, then they are easily taken care of and they cannot produce the impact they want. It's anyhow, in the meanwhile, Israel and the United States probably are trying to minimize their capabilities with every kind of following second. So it's a very difficult situation. I heard the threat coming from Iran that it's going to be an unprecedented retaliation. Probably they are going to do their best. We have to be prepared, and we'll see what happens. It's true what Sadka said that. The defense that was built over the last couple of weeks is very formidable and is supposed to minimize the impact of the Iranian missile attack. But we know that nothing is foolproof, and some of these missiles are going to manage to penetrate the defenses that were prepared. I would also point at another angle. If this is about regime change, what should be expected to see, and we'll see if it's going to happen or not, is whether the protesters in Iran take advantage of the fact that the regime is under attack and try to remove it from power. Because this is the one thing that the Americans and the Israelis cannot make happen through air power and air attacks. You cannot change a regime like that. In order to change the regime, you need to see the people taking advantage of the situation. It's too early to say whether it's going to happen or not, but this is going to be a major test that we should try to follow and see if it happens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cooper Wasser, for sharing that. Now we have another news coming in from US. US officials have said that the strikes on Iran are focused on military target. Breaking news coming in from US, he has also added that the current Israeli strike on Iran is expected to be far more extensive than last June's US attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities. This comes as the Israeli Defense Forces have announced a preventive strike against Iran in a major escalation of regional conflict. Now we welcome back retired Major General Dr. S.B. Astana for this. Thank you very much, Mr. Major General Dr. Astana, for staying with us. Now, looking at this, what's your take, building on our respected other guests' answers, and also the how do you analyze, regime change? Is it that simple? You've already briefly touched on it, saying that regime change is not that simple. What's your take? Can you brief us more about this?
Regime change is certainly not simple because there is no alternative in Iran. Khomeini, although people are angry with Khomeini, there is no doubt about it. But the fact is that the same people have more hatred towards US and Israel than the level of anger against Khomeini. This is also a statement of fact. So therefore, the problem is that for regime change, there are two basic conditions required. You need an alternative, and you have to finally get boots on ground. Only by stand of attack, regime change will not occur. So if the political aim and the strategic aim of US and Israel is regime change, then only by stand of attack it is not going to occur. They will have to expand the level of their military intervention to boots on ground, which I don't think America or Israel can be thinking of. As far as America is concerned, it will become another Afghanistan because the size of, given the size of Iran. So I don't think they will go to that extent. Short of that, what is going to happen is that certainly you can kill some of the leaders. They will automatically get replaced because they've already named the succession line for all contingencies. So that is as far as the escalation is concerned, and as far as the regime change is concerned. The idea.
Major General, we have another breaking news coming in, unfortunately. Please do stay with us. Thank you for sharing that.